Hey everybody, it's the OMAD Dad. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, a channel that's dedicated to living the OMAD lifestyle, or eating just one meal a day. There's only a few days left in the June 2020 OPAD challenge. If you have not seen that video on my channel, please go ahead and check it out. We're committed to having the entire month of OMAD, the entire month of June rather, in 2020 here, to be nothing but OPAD variations of our OMAD meals for the entire month. That's no splurges, no cheating. We're not going to weigh ourselves until the end of the month to see how we did. And we're not only going to have OMAD meals every single day of the month, those meals are going to be the OPAD variation, which of course stands for one plate a day. So we're going to have a nice full plate of food, and that's going to be our meal, and that's going to be it for the month. That's our little challenge. If you'd like some more information on exactly what OPAD is, what the OPAD variation of OMAD is, and go ahead and check out, I have several videos on this. But I wanted to do a what I eat in a day video. This is volume 10, and the theme for this is going to be all OPAD variations. In other words, all of these meals are going to be on one plate, and that's it. This is what I ate, and then I'm done. I'll show you my philosophy behind it, what some of these look like, so that even when you do decide to have one plate, maybe that's how you do your OMAD every day, but this will give you kind of an idea on how I approach this technique. And I use this technique when I'm at the upper end of my weight range and I want to cut down a little bit. When I lost my weight initially, this is what I used pretty much exclusively. I stuck to the one plate rule of OPAD, and it's excellent and quite fast, at least it was for me, for producing amazing results. So that's why I use this to cut, and then when I get to the lower part of my weight range and my goal, then I still eat on maintenance, I still eat my one meal a day, but I may have a few plates of food. I may have a salad bowl, I may have a little piece of dessert on the end. I still follow some of the same basic principles, but I'm more kind of lackadaisical, carefree with it, as opposed to being very strict to having just one plate of food and one caloric beverage. Now these are going to have another theme to them as well. What you're going to see is they're the same in the sense that they're not stacked up too high. The food is not billowing over the edges of the plate. So they have that in common. I mean, the foods are going to be different, of course, but that's why we do these videos. Is I do this video so you could see the versatility of OMAD and how you can really switch things up. So I guess the best way to do this is to get right into it. And first up was a chicken parm meal, chicken parmesan, a couple of pieces of that, nice healthy scoop of penne pasta with some tomato sauce, a couple of pieces of homemade garlic bread, using some leftover rolls that I had around, and a glass of red wine. Those of you who watch me on this channel know I like my red wine. I do, now that it's warm up here and we've had a warm month of June, occasionally I'll have a beer as part of my caloric beverage, or maybe some juice, but for the most part I like my red wine. Now, so take a look here. I can still see the borders around the edges. I could have added a little bit more food on there, but there's no desserts because it's a very saucy meal, so I don't want them commingling. But everything for this meal is on one plate, not stacked up too high, nothing crazy, just a simple, average OPAD meal that I had just using up some leftover stuff that I had around the house. And next up was a rather larger meal, larger in the sense that it was a takeout meal at Chili's. So we have a Chili's in the next town over from us. And there are some high-calorie foods here, so let's get right into it. And I apologize for some of these photos. Again, I'm not a professional videographer here. I don't have this expensive editing software or anything like that. I do all this stuff on my phone, so kind of bear with me here. But there is a bacon cheeseburger from Chili's on there, 3 of their Southwestern egg rolls, a serving of their coleslaw, and I added on a couple of homemade chocolate chip cookies. Also had a glass of red wine with this meal as well. It's not shown in the picture. But this is a rather large calorie meal because the burger itself is the better part of 900, almost 1,000 calories. The Southwestern egg rolls pack a calorie punch. I think they're around maybe 400 or 500 calories for those. I could be wrong. And then there's the coleslaw. I could have, now normally the burger would have come with French fries, but I find that by the time I get the French fries home, they're soggy anyway. And the French fries would have added quite a bit more calories to this, and I knew that night that I wanted to have some of these chocolate chip cookies that I baked myself. So I got myself coleslaw, which had probably 50-60 calories to it at all, and it allowed me to put a few chocolate chip cookies on the plate. So here I have kind of a complete meal. This was a rather large meal. I think total it was probably closer to 1,800 calories. But that's absolutely fine. Fits all within the plate, and everything is. You'll see how when you have a collection of these plates, how it's going to all equal out. You're going to have some days that are a little heavier of a calorie count than others, some that are less. And then when I do the OPAD variation, I also, if I am craving something sweet, it's usually going to end up being fruit on my plate. Because I find it mixes well with whatever else I'm having. For example, if I got rid of the cookies, a scoop of ice cream would just make this, by the time I got to it, would make it just an absolute mess. There wouldn't even be anything left, and it would just ruin the rest of the food on the plate. So that in and of itself limits you to what kind of desserts you're going to have on the plate. I mean, I suppose I could put a little bowl of ice cream on there as well, just in case, and then try to speed eat through the rest of the meal, but that wouldn't be enjoyable, and that would take up a lot of plate real estate. So I threw some cookies on there just to have the mental break of having a little bit of a sugar fix and a little bit of a dessert. And as I hope to get into later on in this channel, they're homemade, and I'm a big advocate of making your own junk food. The reason for this is because it's too easy and convenient to go to the store and just buy junk food. There's nothing wrong with doing that once in a while, and I'm going to show you my whole approach to junk food in a later video on this channel. But if the only junk food you have at home is stuff that you make yourself, then you're going to have far less of it, and you'll be able to control the ingredients and the items that are in there. So that's my philosophy in a nutshell on that. But yeah, all said and done, you're looking around 1,700 calories or so on this meal. All right, next up, good combination of takeout places. So this was a spicy beef shank and cheddar melt from one of my favorite locally owned restaurants around here. They had this Asian style coleslaw that had a little bit of spice to it, and then a nice big healthy scoop of jasmine rice, that sticky rice that you get at Chinese restaurants. I like it. It's very plain, but has that nutty characteristic to it all of it. And so I had this meal again with another glass of red wine, just sticking to my one beverage. And this was quite a treat. I had this outside at the pool one night. Usually Friday nights for us is a takeout night. Not every time, but we do try and support the local restaurants around here when we can. So again, nothing. This was a paper plate, average size dinner plate. Nothing's really too high. Nothing's too crazy here. Just another very tasty version of OMAD, of the OPAD variation right here. Okay, so here's a sample of the weekend meal outside by the pool. It was a combination of things because it was a It was a barbecue day, so that's a double cheeseburger, homemade. I had a hot dog. Someone had made some chicken parm and some spaghetti. They had brought that to the barbecue, and I just decided to try some of the pasta here on the side, and then a little handful of just regular potato chips. This is a slightly larger meal, but as you can see, nothing's stacked very high, not billowing over the edges. I do believe I had a beer on this meal. I don't have a glass of alcohol with every single one. I do enjoy it very regularly, but I think this was one of those days where I either stuck with water or I had juice. OMAD, it's versatile. I mean, how many diet plans out there will let you go to a barbecue and have a nice plate like this? Here's a meal that I frequently have some version of this once every week and a half or so to satisfy my breakfast cravings on here. And in the other positive part of having a meal that's more traditional Western breakfast based is that it's usually fairly low calories. So here I made a few homemade sausage egg McMuffins. I just did it all kind of piecemeal here at home. Some home fries, and I wanted a little something sweet here, so I just sliced up a banana and get it to fit on the plate a little bit nicer. Now it's getting a little bit high. We're going toward the edge of the plate, but we're still okay. We're still within the borders, and the sandwiches are a little bit higher over there, but again, they're not crazy. But I love making the version of this at home because I could just kind of butter the English muffins and griddle them. I make fry my eggs the way I like them. I usually do homemade sausage patties. It's pretty easy once you get the spice mixture all worked into the ground pork. It's so much fresher than just a little bit more work than buying the pre-cooked, pre-made ones, but it tastes so much better. And then that's not that processed American cheese you'd find at Mickey D's. That's decent quality sliced cheddar cheese. So those of you who know me, I and who watch this channel, watch these videos, I like having my breakfast meal every so often. Satisfy those breakfast cravings. Because it was a meal this was something, the components that I would have for breakfast every so often. But I couldn't have this every day because you just get bored with it. It's just too much. But I find that every week and a half to 2 weeks or so around there, I'll have this meal. It's very cheap, it's satisfying, and it's usually pretty low calorie. Mexican, anyone? I've got a pretty fat chicken and cheese quesadilla. This is stuffed with peppers and onions, some cumin, some chili powder. I threw in a little bit of the jarred salsa that people usually have with chips and salsa. And right next to that, it was a leftover slaw that I had made the night before with carrots and red cabbage, a little bit of white cabbage, and peanuts, and what did I put in there? Some scallions. That was more Asian based, but then there's a scoop of yellow rice and some black beans on there. So that's a nice full plate. It's very filling. You got a good amount of protein, good amount of fiber in here, and again, not going too crazy, but this is a nice hearty meal. And I'll tell you, this is the type of fun that you can have. I think you guys get the idea now. I think you guys, I think I provided with you some pretty decent examples of how I approach this. No other diet that I've ever been on allowed me to eat the varieties of food this way that weren't very heavily altered in some form. It was either a cauliflower pizza crust or coconut flour tortilla shells. I'm just having food that you would find in your cupboard, food that you would find in your refrigerator, in your local grocery store, your local takeout place. It's fine. On my cutting phases, and there is going to be cutting phases as part of your maintenance. I'll stick to the OPAD rule, and I'll ride that wave right until the lower end of my goal weight range, and I use this technique to actually get me to my goal. It's a very powerful technique. And then once you're in maintenance, you can play around with things a little bit. Once you've hit your goal weight range, you can have a little fun. You have an extra plate of salad over here, or I still stick to a traditional OMAD. I'll have my one meal, but I can stretch it out a little bit. I can have more desserts if I want. I have a little fun. But when you know what to do when you start, you start putting a few pounds on. You know how to track this. You still weigh yourself, semi-regularly. You can tell by your clothes if they're starting to get a little bit tighter, and then okay, I'm at the higher end of my weight range where I need to be. Just go right back to baseline, and that's really all you have to do. And this works, and this will stay working for. This year is going to be, in a couple of months actually. It's going to be 3 years I've been doing this. I've been having a blast with it. I have family members now that are doing it. I have people from all over the planet that send me emails and pictures and that they're doing it, and looking for ways to kind of get even more tweaking into their program and how make it work best for them. It really truly is. It's truly amazing just finding this way of eating and having it work in your life, and not having to, and finding something that complements it so well. I think this is going to be it for this video right here. I think you guys get the idea. But I may still do some more of these videos in the future. It depends on whether or not you guys really request them or not. But I have a bunch of other topics I'd rather go over. But I probably should have made this video a little bit sooner in our challenge. But just to kind of give you that extra push and motivation to finish out the last couple of days of the month of this challenge, I thought I'd come out with this video and just show you some of the things that I like to eat when I do the OPAD challenge, or when I stick to my one plate a day of my OMAD. So I thought that I hope that was very helpful for you, and I wish all of you guys a lot of continued success. And remember, I'm just an email away. My email is in the description box below, and I love hearing your success stories as well, and I love seeing the pictures. I love hearing how OMAD has changed your life. I really do. This is. I really enjoy getting all of the letters as much as I enjoy getting questions from people who may be struggling with something. So keep that in mind. But that's going to be it for me for today. I hope you guys have a great week. Very happy OMAD, and be well.